Okay, 6 o'clock. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
and
United
republic
States of America,
and to the republic
to the republic for
for
which
which
it
that
stands,
stands
one
one nation
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Very much. Commissioners, we have approval of the agenda. Do you have any changes or suggestions to our agenda?
I do not.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Public comment, please keep it to 3 minutes. Who would like to go first?
I don't mind going first.
I think I saw Jeff first.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff, you're muted.
Yep, should be unmuted now.
Okay.
Here. Anyway, just a quick thing here. Appreciate the year-end date report, the cash flow report. Only question I had about it is, or at least at this point, is the revenue coming in for the year. It didn't seem like any tax revenue came in after October. And I always thought the port got, some revenues that, after that, after the property taxes were paid in October. So anyway, that's the gist of it. I just didn't see any totals and therefore it made the budget revenue look lower than I think it is. So that's the gist of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next. Brad?
Okay, now when I'm giving a public comment, I'd appreciate if you guys would not interrupt me. If you have questions for me, save those to the end of my public comment, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay, taking off where we left off at last month's meeting, we've been being muted. We've been muted more than once. We've asked to sit down with the commission and voice our complaint. We haven't been allowed to do that. We can do that in private if you want through an executive session. That's a personnel issue. That violates our right to petition our government. And, I'd hope that new faces would maybe bring new blood to the port and how this type of stuff is handled. But when John jumped right in and was saying that I know that I cannot talk about certain things, I try to make it clear that's not true. Now, John may think that, but not me. With regard to that incident, of course, I was muted. I notified council, your council, of the problem. Now, Larry since followed up with a email of apology, which I'd like to read into the meeting minutes so it's on the record. I noticed that, by the way, the correspondence seems to only go to Judy, Larry, and Leanne typically, and that Ted and John are being excluded from the process. So it looks like we have just one commissioner running the show and a director and a secretary. So anyway, Mr. Carey, I'm writing to address my remarks and actions at 2021 Port of Allyn Commissioner meeting during public comment period. I believed and was advised by council not to allow public discussion of the pending Carey versus Port litigation. I was mistaken when I muted you in this respect. I now fully understand that you can address the commissioners on that topic through your First Amendment rights. However, what you cannot do is ask the commissioners to respond and or discuss the matter without council being present and without council's permission. Now, number one, I thank Larry for the apology, but he never responded. Number two, I disagree with Larry's written apology. We can ask questions. You don't have to answer them, but we are free to ask any question that any other member or the press is able to ask. So I suggest that all three commissioners, if you're going to continue to perform, to go ahead and take a look at what the First Amendment is protected against and what it's not protected against. And everything we're doing falls within our rights to petition our government, okay? So, and with regard to the chairwoman, the fact that you allowed this to go on without even stepping in and stopping it is, inexcusable. And if I was the other two commissioners, I would probably go ahead and, ask that you relieve your position as chairwoman, okay? So, and that's if I was a commissioner, I would make a motion to do that. That's, everybody's got to know your First Amendment rights. Those are the fundamental. We may have the differences of opinions on certain issues, but not on that. Okay, let me move along here.
Your 3 minutes is up.
Okay, you mind if I go ahead and have another 20 seconds, please? Especially since last week or last
20
month. I was-
seconds, sure.
Okay, good. Look, I was reviewing the vouchers. You guys have gone ahead and there's $18,000 in vouchers set aside for litigation. Now, I've made my offer public. I've offered to settle my lawsuit for $10,000, letter of apology and admissions. For the commission to go ahead and spend $18,000 when we're just getting started is just malfeasance. You know, at very best, it's malfeasance. Thank you. And I'm going to go have dinner with my wife. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Thank
If you
you.
give me more time, I have some positive comments if you give more time.
No, thank you. That's,
Okay, thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.
anybody else for public comment? Terry, I see she just got on board. Or Ken? Where did Ken go?
I have my hand raised.
Oh, thank you, Ken. I didn't see. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Ken.
Yeah, thank you, folks. You just approved the agenda for the meeting.
Correct.
Did you remove 10C?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Uh,
But we don't have, we can go ahead and review it. We're not going to make a decision on it tonight.
You can't have a public hearing because it wasn't notified. There was some confusion over the public hearing. Leanne said that she was out of the country, so no one could ask her about it. But it was posted to the blog that there was going to be a public hearing tonight on December 22nd. And
Yeah, I see that.
Leanne also responded to me that they were going to remove it from the agenda. So it should be stricken from the agenda. Secondly, last month's meeting, Commissioner Sheridan reported that he had spoke with Miss Harlow of the Salmon Center, and he was looking forward to meeting to get a better understanding of the Sweetwater Park project. I would like to meet with Commissioner Sheridan and any of you others so that you could better understand my position. See, next, in tonight's Executive Director's report, it's dated December 6th at the top of it. That can be very confusing when somebody goes onto the website trying to figure out which December 6th it is. I assume it's for this evening and it just got taken out or was just pasted in there or something. But in his report on water system issues, he mentions two individuals who supposedly asked the Board of County Commissioners to consider not funding Port's request for his SEDS list. For the record, I've discovered that the Executive Director did a public records request of the county. He could have asked me and I would have told him. For the record, I am one of those individuals, and I sent an email to the Board of County Commissioners 4 months ago, and I simply asked them to delay a decision. He also said, excuse me?
It must have been somebody's
Okay.
something.
That's all right. Lastly, I don't know if you folks are using the chat function on this Zoom meeting, but I would recommend that you not do that because those chats are public records. And I know that Board of County Commissioners just went through some deliberations today, and they're going to establish some sort of policy about.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Terry? No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Moving on, we have a consent agenda item, which is the approval of the regular meeting minutes for December 6th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
Chairperson, can I go back and amend? We did discuss in emails about the comprehensive scheme update, and we're not going to address that tonight. Can I go back and address my motion to approve the agenda, but remove 10C from the agenda?
Yeah,
I was,
sure.
I was
think that-
wondering that, yeah.
I was looking through the emails and I did see that that was addressed in an email, and I apologize for overlooking it, so.
Well, I too. So thank you. So we will remove 10C, which is the public hearing.
So
But
yes,
go ahead, make a motion to remove it.
I'll make a motion to remove 10C from the agenda from this evening.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. And what else was there? I think that was it, wasn't it? Other than typos and some missed dates. Okay. Let's go to our consent agenda item, which is the minutes for December 6th, 2021. Any comments on it, or do I hear a motion to approve?
I would like, as a citizen, to request that that be removed for a separate discussion. This is
Okay.
Ken Van Busker.
Okay,
Did you want me to go into my discussion?
yes, please.
Okay. I would like to see part of that stricken because it's not part of the official minutes. And that would be, hold on just a second, let me find it here. It was during public comment when Mr. Carey was muted. And it says he began speaking about the port's water system and was muted by the executive director, who was under the mistaken impression that was not part of the meeting. Mr. Capola muted him, didn't explain anything about it. And that should be stricken from the record. That's my opinion.
Well, if I remember rightly, it's quite possible I don't, but I think he did talk about that afterwards. He said that he was not supposed to talk about it. And that was on the recording of that same day. Unless I'm incorrect, gentlemen, do you have any comments about that or memory about that yourself?
Well, that was at that meeting, and then as a thought, that happened at the last meeting, so I don't know why we would stricken that. I mean, we've Larry Capella, executive director, corrected that, followed with an apology letter. I'm not understanding.
He did not correct himself during the meeting.
No, he didn't.
So it should not be in the meeting minutes of that meeting.
What should not be in there? What am I missing here?
The fact that he was speaking under a mistaken impression. He didn't acknowledge that he was speaking a mistaken impression at that time.
Oh, I agree with that, but
Yeah, that should be stricken from the record. It's not factual.
oh, well. All right, let me look at this myself one more time. So.
I understand what Mr.
I
Van
do.
Busker is saying, so.
I do too. I could have missed that.
I would agree that we strike the first. Let me see, I was trying to get to 2 sentences, but I'm going a little longer.
Right. Well, I'm looking for that, but where is that in there? And if it is,
It's in public comment, second paragraph.
I'm reading it right now. I'm just trying to cut to the chase here. Okay, well, we didn't correct ourselves, I should say. Larry wrote that after the fact, and if, then that should be taken out. I agree.
Thank you.
But, so, I mean, we can, even at some point here shortly, we can approve or move forward with those minutes, with that being stricken for the record. So, but we've corrected that. I mean, even myself, I was under the impression that, well, he can speak to the matter regarding any issue if he wants. It's his right. Brad Carey can. But I differ in the correspondence between the attorney and him trying to entice questions directly to any of our commissioners regarding the water. That's inappropriate, but it's another matter. But yeah, let's take that out and move forward.
Ken, may I ask why is it so important that we take that out to you? Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
It's important because it's not factual.
You mean not factual for,
I mean, if you don't understand, you don't understand, but
no, I mean, because I know that this is factual, but you, according to what you saw on the, you're concerned because that's not what was on the recording. Is that correct?
yeah,
Ken,
yeah.
can,
It's not an
can you-
accurate record of the meeting.
okay, Ken, can you read exactly what you want to see stricken from the record? Just read it exactly the way you want it to be removed.
It should say was muted by the executive director, period. Remove who was under the mistaken impression that Mr. Perry could not come in on the water system due to
Okay.
ongoing litigation.
Well, that did happen.
He just muted him. He just muted him. He didn't say anything about being under a impression that he,
That is not true.
Yeah, that's not true. You have to,
okay, well,
you'll-
you call it the way you want to call it.
all right. Well, that's, you've got to you can go back to the recording, Mr. Winbusker, but,
You can go back through the recording too, sir.
okay, well, I don't need to. Because I remember it.
Oh, yeah, I remember it too.
Okay, Sunshine, you have your hand raised?
When the minutes were being, the rough draft of the minutes being done, it was obvious that Mr. Coppola was under the impression that Mr. Carey could not make any comments because of the ongoing litigation. So when it was written and submitted, come to find out that it was mistaken, and it was addressed in the last meeting.
Yeah, because I asked him,
Mr.
I actually asked him, I said, Mr. Capel, unmute him. And then he told me that because that Mr. Carey, so Larry Capello was incorrect, but he had that false impression as to why he did it. So I don't see why we need to take that out there, because I remember that conversation. That's all. I don't want to take it out.
Okay,
I don't want to change it.
Ted, do you have any
I'd
comment?
like to review it a little bit more because I understand what Mr. Ambrusker is saying. I did have difficulty with Mr. Carey's connection. I was getting every fourth word or fifth word. And I did express that, but I don't know if it was expressed. I need to go back. And I say we just hold these meeting minutes to the, I'd like to review those statements made and recording.
Okay.
And go back and approve the December minutes in, what's today, February. And so we have an accurate account. And I asked the other commissioners that we just come up with an accurate account.
Okay.
All right, we'll table that until February.
I would like to say something here.
Sure.
I was under the impression from our attorney that Mr. Carey could not speak to the issues under litigation. I muted him and then I said that.
Yes, I remember that.
And that seems to be Mr. Van Buskirk's problem here. Also, Mr. Carey made a statement earlier that I had muted him previously, and that is untrue. That was the first time I have ever muted anyone in any of these meetings. And I want that on the record. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on.
And thank you for sending that letter out, Executive Director, with that apology. Much appreciated on part of, as a commissioner.
Well, I was wrong, and when I'm wrong, I don't mind apologizing.
Sure.
And that's all there was to it.
All right.
Okay, action items, payment general fund vouchers, payroll vouchers, and water fund vouchers. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve payment voucher for 28 vouchers totaling $28,869.19. And the vouchers totaling $17,091.14. And the third voucher for 450 vouchers for totaling $457.12. I'll make a motion to approve those.
I hear a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, commissioners' reports. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first. I attended the general meeting and the PR TPO meeting, which was focused on a lot of the EV electric vehicle federal funding that may be coming down to especially our rural communities. So I'm going to really ask Larry to be part of that, and because of his special knowledge. So we have another meeting in, I believe, in late January or February. Of course, another comments have been the Gorse cleanup area to improve our transit. And I'm still waiting for the magic wand to figure out how we improve Gorse from the shipyard into Mason County. So I also attended a meeting with, it was an impromptu meeting with Representative Griffey, our lobbyist, and Mr. Coppola on some of our legislative issues. And I did not put that down on the voucher, but it was a very good meeting. So.
Excellent. John?
Yeah, so I'm still looking forward to meeting with Mindy Harlow in January to get a better understanding of the whole Salmon Center project that they have. And what I'm looking for also is how that might tie into Sweetwater, right? And for the record, I wanted to make a note as part of my report that I have talked in length with Mr. Van Buskirk regarding his views on that in the past, as well as Dr. Brian Peterson. So obviously, I'm still in the gathering at the gathering mode of that at some point in being a hunt after I gather everything. But that's part of what I wanted to report. And then also I recently applied to Mason Transit Authority to be a board member on there. Just so I go ahead and let you all know that, see what happens. And then the only other thing that I did in December was our meeting that we had on the 6th of December. So that's it.
Great. Well, I
And
just
if
did
I could say one thing, Commissioner Sheridan, thank you for applying for Mason Transit. It'd be nice to have a port commissioner up here representing North Mason County.
yeah, great. Thank you. Because I was thinking about doing that, but thank you. That's
Okay.
great. Yeah, mine was just the regular meeting, December 6th. And of course, our Commissioner Sheridan got to meet everybody from Reed Real Estate at the party. Same
Yeah.
with Leanne and Larry and Sunshine. And It was a great time.
It
Other than
was.
that, I've been pretty busy with my family. Okay, moving right along. Let's have security officers report.
All right. December 12th, 1:45 a.m. through 3:10 a.m. Wire theft at Allyn Waterfront Facility, approximately 1,400 feet of 4/aught gauge copper wire, 4 strands, was stolen from the long run of conduit that supplies the pedestals at the end of the dock. Through viewing of the cameras, this crew of people arrived and cut each end of the long run of wire inside the conduit and arrived later with a green Dodge long bed truck without plates, only fake looking temporary tag in a window to remove the wire. Theft did move a large rock in the process and did some damage to the dock as well as considerable damage to the electrical system. The truck proceeded to drag the wire all the way up Drum Street, turned right onto State Route 3. From State Route 3, they proceeded down North Bay Road, where some of the lengths of wire were cut up and later found in the ditch. Met with the executive director and the maintenance supervisor around 9 a.m. Sunday and contacted Mason County Sheriff to file a report. The executive director has a case number in the office. December 20th, 7:37 p.m., vehicle found behind the gate left unattended at the time of gate closure. Notified the executive director I would begin the impounding process. December 20th, 8:28 p.m., tow truck arrived and loaded up the vehicle by 9:15 p.m. Tow truck driver moved the vehicle outside of the locked gate area to finish strapping off the vehicle to relocate to the impound yard. At 9:19 p.m., while vehicle was being strapped off on Drum Street, a vehicle arrived with the owner of the vehicle. They were informed they would have to get their vehicle back at the impound yard and pay all the associated fees. December 29th and 30th, no North Shore patrols due to road conditions. That's the security officer's report. So,
Excellent. Okay, now the executive director's report.
yes. Financial issues. Revenues and expenses are performing as expected for this time of year. Year-end budget versus actual reports included in your meeting packet. Looking over the vouchers for this month, you'll see we've included the cost of the well repair. We'd hoped to find some emergency money for this, but both our office and our lobbyists were unsuccessful. We've not yet received the staging area expense reimbursements from RCO, but I've been told to let the process run its course and we'll see the money soon. However, this has seemingly taken on a life of its own as they're now asking for documents we submitted back in 2019. We're over $150,000 under budget on this project. So I'm hopeful the $7,500 request for additional fencing will be approved as part of that reimbursement. Representatives from RCO are coming here to meet with us on Friday, and hopefully we'll get this sorted out. We had some issues with cultural resources. They've agreed to not make us do anything else for that. So I got an email from them today about all of this, plus the documents that they were asking for that we submitted in 2019 suddenly got found today. So, yeah, at any rate, hopefully we're going to get all this sorted out on Friday. We do have expenses related to the new well, but they're coming out of the water fund, not the general fund. New long-term care act. According to this law, we're required to deduct the costs from everyone's paycheck as of January 1st. That's in spite of the fact the legislature has convinced the governor not to implement this until the law has been reworked. In other words, the state will not implement the law, but they will collect fees. However, no one from our port will ever collect a dime from this. So we're waiting for clarification from the state on if the tax will be collected for sure or not. I had gotten an email from somebody saying that they had agreed to suspend this, but I have not seen any documentation of that yet. So,
Larry, can I jump in? I have seen something where they're going to suspend this, the taxation, but do you need board action to say if you and the staff don't want to collect this, that the board needs to take action, or can you just say no?
Well-
And then we do the documentation. I know there's a lot of documentation to it, so.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to opt out of it individually, and that expired, I think, on October 30th. I tried to opt out of it personally.
The
and
website didn't
couldn't get
work.
on the- Yeah, I couldn't get on the state's website to do it.
No, it didn't work.
So I'm not sure what they're doing there. So I think that's a question that maybe our lobbyist has an answer to, but if not, maybe one of our state representatives do.
Okay.
So I'll,
Thank you.
I'll find out more and let you know.
Leanne, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just so you know, we did implement that. So there is the withdrawal out of your paychecks this month since it's January. But I suppose, you know, if it gets turned around or something, we can reimburse it. I don't know. Bias had me, they already had it all put in, so.
Well, our paychecks that we would get this month are for December.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
for
would-
December hours, but it's recorded under January. So that's the law.
Okay. All right, well, back to the report.
Yes.
Public records issues, as you can see from the vouchers, we're incurring substantial legal fees as part of the litigation we're involved in, making sure all our I's are dotted and T's are crossed, processing the 44 public records requests we've been deluged with this year. These encompass 32 from the litigant, including one asking for information going back to the 1960s, another for information going back 20 years, as well as one asking for metadata. There are 10 from Ken Van Buskirk, but they are only 2 for the entire 2021 year from other people. This has caused us to have to spend an inordinate amount of staff time on this, and we may be forced to either hire some temporary help or authorize overtime to keep up with the flow of regular work. I've asked our attorney to explore whatever legal remedies there may be for us to recover some of the cost from those individuals. State also has implemented some new rules that allow us to charge a small amount for providing electronic records. Update to the comprehensive scheme. We've posted the community survey on our Facebook page and on our website for our comprehensive scheme update. We also sent a press release to all local media that included the link to the survey. I also posted it in every Facebook group that I can identify for Mason County. And there's about 10 of them. So I also posted it there. And we boosted it on our Facebook page as well. I've included a copy of it in your meeting packet. We'd scheduled a public hearing for this tonight with a PowerPoint presentation, but we'll have a second public hearing on February 7th and possible approval at that meeting. We need to update to RCO on or before March 1st. We don't really have to have a public hearing on this since this isn't the official update. We aren't bound to do the official update until 2024. We have just done annual updates as a matter of course, and the public hearings are just to keep the public aware of what we're doing. But I just wanted to make sure you all understood that. Water system issues. As we continue moving forward on the new well and receive the engineer's estimates, so we know exactly how much money we need. There's federal funding available from the bailout money the state will receive, which will be dispersed by the county. However, the county required everyone seeking some of that federal money to resubmit the previous request via the SEDS process. We've submitted the SEDS request forms to the EDC as required. However, 2 people have submitted letters to the county commissioners asking them to consider not funding our request, or as Mr. Van Buskirk said, delay the request. If our request is denied, our attorney has advised us we may have a potential lawsuit for damages against those 2 individuals for the amount requested. So we need to let the process play itself out. As noted previously, we're going to install a booster pump up near the tank to equalize the water pressure with the rest of the system for the existing new homes and others to be built up there. Engineering for this is finished and the bills for it are in the vouchers you approved tonight. I started pushing on prompting the county commissioners to establish a countywide coordinated water system plan. However, I heard from Fern Schultz of the Department of Health that they discourage these in less populated areas like Mason County for a number of reasons. One is that it can never be dissolved, even if they outlive their original intent as the county becomes more populated. And also because the county would be forced to hire someone to administer it. I asked if perhaps having one for the Belfair and Allyn UGAs would be more appropriate. She said maybe. Apparently Jefferson County has done something like that. She's going to put me in touch with someone there. Damage claims. As you're aware, we had some severe damage to the finger pier on the dock during the October 25th storm. The wave action was so strong that it broke the 4-inch galvanized brackets holding the finger pier to the main dock, and 2, tore the 4-inch lag bolts completely out of the beams holding the bracket to the pier. Also completely tore out the 4-inch bolts holding the hinges between the 2 sections of the finger pier together. Turned this into Endurance as a claim called Marine Floats, the same company that built the replacement dock, to get an estimate on the repairs. Meanwhile, we've closed that section of the dock to boaters and pedestrians. Marine Floats isn't able to give us a solid bid, but wants to do the job, time, and material, letting Endurance deal with them since it's our slow season at the marina anyway. The second claim is for the theft of wiring powering the marina. Endurance says we're covered for this as well, and we got a bid for the repair to the conduit that was cut and replacement of the wire from the same contractor that did the installation. I have an appointment tomorrow with the insurance adjuster, going to look at everything. However, before we do that, we need to be able to secure the access to the electrical equipment so it can't be turned off simply by cutting the lock. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time before this happens again. So what we've decided to do is completely enclose the kiosk and install steel doors with double deadbolts to access the electrical equipment, as well as use stainless steel locks for the equipment cabinets. We estimate the cost of this to be around $5,000, including Don's time. Don gave me an estimate on all the material today. It's about $3,400 plus his time. So 5,000 is right in the ballpark. The people who did this knew what they were doing and what our security level is. They must have scoped out the job beforehand because they studiously avoided our cameras, wore camo hoodies, used a stolen truck, and were in and out in less than 20 minutes, according to the theft. Security camera issues. All the cameras at all our locations are up and running. However, we're still having issues getting them to run on the flat screen in the office. There's an information disconnect somewhere between our IT consultant, Hood Canal Communications, Wave Broadband, and a camera vendor. I spoke with the vendor and she gave me a date of the 29th of this month to come up here, meet in person with everyone, sort this out once and for all. I sent emails to all of the vendors and see if that date works for everybody. They did offer to come and just take the equipment out, let us find another vendor, but we don't really want to do that. We just want it to work correctly. But if they're going to come, based on what we've learned from the wire theft, we may want to reposition some of the camera pods while they're here, possibly add a couple. The Marina grant paid for the original installation, but we'll have to pay for any additional pods. Website updates. We refreshed our website with some new pictures, including some drone shots, and we posted the community survey there. But we're looking for a major upgrade, which will simplify navigation. People who aren't technologically savvy, being able to easily find what they want appears to be the biggest challenge. We're also looking into using our security cameras for webcam. But truthfully, due to the potential cost and the time of the redesign itself, it's going to probably be April or May before we can complete this. Old business, Oyster House, nothing new to report. Basically in a holding pattern till we get the Army Corps permit. Once we have that, we can put the pile driving construction of the platform out to bid. As reported previously, WPPA has taken the lead on the Army Corps issue. Port associations in other states are doing the same. We're hopeful a congressional solution to the stalemate between the Corps and the National Marine Fisheries Service will take place at some point this year. Sweetwater Park, nothing new to report on this, although both Commissioner Jackson and our security officer have suggested perhaps fencing off the front part by the road to keep people from using it as a parking lot. We've had a number of vehicles, including a broken down RV and a boat on a trailer left there for several days in recent weeks, which creates a potential liability for us. I'm going to get a bid on both rental fencing and some permanent fencing. All ports meeting, waiting on the next one to be scheduled, and criminalization of Marina rules, nothing new to report. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I had a couple questions for you, Larry, and a comment actually, like for that park there in Belfair. I would suggest it'd be a really low bearing fence where a semi, or it's been really convenient for semis who need to get their rest during the night, that we find a sweet spot where they can still get off the side of the highway in front of that property for the night. That I'm just throwing that out there. And then also if someone decides to park there, it's still going to be on that easement of the state highway where it's the state's responsibility to tow it out of there. Like State Patrol marks it and then it's gone within a couple days. But it should be a little.
That's incorrect. If it's on our property, it's our responsibility.
Yeah, but if they park in front of the property, there's an easement off the highway. No, I get what you're saying. I'm
No,
just saying.
it doesn't happen like that, John. As long as it's on port property, State Patrol is not going to take any action.
But if they're on the side of the highway there where the easement is, I'm talking about not on the port property, but there in front, that becomes a state issue, right?
No,
Yeah.
because it's still port property, but you're right, there is an easement off the highway onto the port property, but State Patrol not going to take any action on it.
Okay. Because that RV that was there is now parked across from the storage, and the State Patrol, it's parked right off the highway across from the storage. And the State Patrol's already marked it. It might even be gone right by now. I don't know, or tomorrow.
Yeah, we had the sailboat out there that the staff took care of, but I see some negative issues about blocking things off on that property. I just don't want the liability on the port,
Yeah.
but I just don't know who's gonna be the one to enforce any action. Let's say we block and leave a 10-foot buffer or a 15-foot buffer so semis can park and rest. But if we get an abandoned vehicle there, I don't know who's going to be the first one out there. I really
Okay.
don't.
All
So-
right. Something for us to look into. And if we do, it should be a low bearing fence without a lock on it for emergency services to get behind there. God forbid there should be something going on with the fire.
I was thinking ecology blocks and a cable. And so you could get an emergency vehicle through the cable, but then you have to worry about keys and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Do we have towing signs on that property?
No, we don't.
No.
Well, because I've had issues. Matter of fact, the RV probably that's been floating around ended up on my property too. I did get a hold of them, but if you put signs up and they're required to, they have to pay the cost. Now they're getting smart. I had to pay the cost to tow one of the vehicles away, but
Oh,
then for them to get it out, they have to pay for it.
oh.
So my only concern about closing it off, it is a hassle for us, but like John had mentioned, sometimes people need a place to pull off just because they need something rather than a parking lot at QFC.
Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned,
Yeah.
about just shutting everything off. That's
Right.
all.
That's
And
why I said-
we haven't had that much problems.
No.
Yes. And this is the first time I've ever seen that boat and trailer. I mean,
Yeah.
because in the past we haven't had that trouble.
Right. I think we're going to see more of that with the times that we're in, honestly. I do.
Yeah, that boat and trailer ended up on the Port of Bremerton's property across from Port Orchard City Hall. That they moved it from ours to there and it's still there.
Oh, my.
Mhm.
All right.
But the,
Right. I just have an idea about that. If we did a fence, it needs to be in far enough where and we have to investigate that noise to see what that easement looks like, right? I think it's 17 feet from the center. Can't remember exactly, but my point is a low bearing black um, wired fence that doesn't get locked. It could just be opened up, but people generally would get the idea. So, we can
I
just go.
like the idea of the ecology blocks. I hadn't thought about that.
They're kind of tacky. Sorry. Anyway, not a bad idea, I guess. All right.
Well, Leanne, go ahead.
What about revisiting the idea of having people pay like $25 to sell their vehicles or something like that? Maybe more, if it wasn't so empty all the time,
Ah,
maybe that would discourage people from doing the derelict crap. So
Then we'd be
vendors, like the guy that stops and sells his beef jerky and,
right.
there's yeah, you get it.
Well, you know what? If we put a sign up there for vendors, because you see a guy selling flowers or whatever,
Mhm.
we need to have more signage there identifying with it. It's not just that we're paying attention to it, that it's a property that we monitor it. I mean, I go by it every day, or like most of you, but yeah, some more signage indicating, making it, making people aware that, and we can put a sign in there that says no overnight parking, or something. I don't want to even do that, but uh, uh, yeah,
Well, signage is important. If we don't have any, then it's easy for them to do that. But
Yeah.
if there's tow signs, and then we can get one of the local tow
Right.
companies to put their signs up.
Abandoned vehicles will be towed. I don't
Yeah.
know, whatever that looks like, right? I think it's a great idea. So, for starters,
Anyway, that's our 4 cents worth.
yeah.
Okay, anything else for old business, or do you want to go to new business?
I'd like to bring up something about old business. So, okay, so if that vehicle in that incident report that got towed at the port, I'd like us to be a friendly port. I totally get what we did there and I understand why. But if someone leaves contact information and has a note on there, I'd like us to play nice at that if someone breaks down and they've got their information on there. Just for whatever it's worth. I don't know that it doesn't sound like that was the case. They didn't, I mean, it's easy to get information from plates and all that, but if someone wrote broke down, be back tomorrow, I don't want us to be so quick to move it. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Signage, we need signage that helps.
Yeah.
We have huge 4-foot by 4-foot signs on the gates
Right.
that say if you're behind the gates after they're locked, you will be towed. But I think that's a judgment call. If somebody leaves a note, I wouldn't have any heartburn about not towing them away.
So that's where I'm coming from. And so I'm not asking us to change any of
And
that, but
I can relay that to Travis.
okay. I would
But
like that.
But if they don't leave a note,
Yeah.
then what,
I know if I broke down, I'm going to leave a note because I'm going to be worried as heck if I don't get it out of there right away. If I'm anywhere where a vehicle could get subject to being impounded, right? But yeah, that's the least. So if we could send that to him and as just one of the 3 commissioners, I'd like to see us deal with things that way.
Okay.
On to new business. We're good with that? Okay. First item is the discussion of the lobbyist contract renewal. Did anybody get a chance to look at it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Comments?
I didn't
Well,
have any.
Holly is on here. Maybe she should be the one to address this.
Okay. She could go right into that and then also the presentation, if that's
I don't know
okay.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I had sent a email to Mr. Coppola later this afternoon after we discussed the contract. This is another 3-year term contract. which doesn't have to be the case. It can be annually, but in previous contracts, like the last contract, we did a 2019 to 2021 contract. We had no increases at that time. It was kept at a significantly lower rate than we typically offer for other clients for the size of the port. So this has it's about a 9% total in an expansion of those 3 years of an incremental increase. So you're going to see about a 3% cost of living increase per year. That's what that number shows, the monthly number would show. If you were to add it up, times it by 12, you'll see a slight increase per year.
I sent you all copies of the updated contract just right before the meeting.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
You know, because I only got it. Holly and I talked about this, about 5 o'clock, I guess.
Yeah, and
And-
currently, or previously, we had the draft as just a year, which
Year
can
with
be
no increase.
with no
and I-
increase.
And I had asked for a 3-year agreement. And what Holly said is, well, if we do 3 years, they're going to want to increase the rate somewhat. I said, you know, that's understandable.
Yeah.
And, you know,
So I
let's
have
see
a
what we got. Here we are.
So I got a quick question. So is this similar to the shell of this contract, similar to the one we signed before as far as the verbiage that goes and the bolded,
Yeah,
you know,
it's exactly the same.
okay. Yeah,
It's
I
exactly
like it.
the same.
Yeah, I really like the arbitration in K. I mean, that's it's a civil way to do things. If there's anything that needs to be resolved, I like it a lot. So I know that we're getting our money's worth, that's for sure.
Great. Yes, the document I worked off of was just the document that we utilized for the last contract. So it's the same, just has the incremental increase. I did notice the in that section for compensation, I have 2 C sections. So I will fix that and make a D section. But otherwise, if you guys have any other questions, just let me know, or I can jump into the next item of discussion.
Well,
Well, we
somebody,
need a
somebody already
motion
fixed that.
for the contract.
Do we make
Oh,
it
Larry,
for only a year?
thank you, Mr. Coppola, for fixing that.
Can we make it for a year at a time? Annual rather than a 3-year?
That,
Up to you guys.
yep, that's an option.
Any thoughts, commissioners?
Yeah, I'm okay with the 3 years, Chairman, but we can put in there, subject to review annually. I mean, you know, show that we just keep approving it, and so it doesn't have to be redone every year.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson?
Well, I agree. I would almost do a 2-year extension because we're in a short session, long session. And when it comes to a long session, we need to be planning the year before.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind doing at least a 2-year review. So
Okay.
we're planning for the short and long session during that. But other than that, I agree with the contract.
And
Good.
I'd like to say that, you know, I think our relationship with Gordon Thomas Honeywell has been excellent. And I believe we have gotten our money's worth.
Yes,
And,
indeed.
you know, no matter what, you know, the amounts of the extended contract are, I believe we would still be getting our money's worth. And
Yeah.
they've done a good job for us in my book.
You
So
want to take,
I see where there's 2 Cs. It's at the end, the attachments, but okay, well, that's an easy fix, no problem. Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve this contract for 2 years.
do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. So moved. Okay, well, Holly, You are next for your presentation and update, and thank you very much for waiting so long for us to get to you.
No worries. And Mr. Capola and I will work on the contract and get it finalized here shortly.
Okay,
I just wanted to note before I forget, so in regards to the long-term healthcare plan that Mr. Capola brought up earlier, so only the legislature has the authority to eliminate the requirement that employers pay a premium based on withholding from an employee's wages at this time. So the legislature has committed to making those changes during the 2022 session. And that could include a delay in those premium collection timelines. And the governor shared at the end of December, which I think, created some confusion, that he has the ability to order the state employment security department to refrain from collecting those premiums from employers. But really it comes down to the legislature making that change. And if they fail to make that change, employers will still be legally obligated to pay the full amount owed to their agency. So nothing has really changed until the legislature acts during this upcoming session.
okay.
So, but that's just a side note, and then I will just jump into kind of what we expect for this upcoming session. And thanks again for including me in the agenda for this evening. And it's great to see you all, and Happy New Year. And I look forward to continuing our partnership. And thank you for approving the contract. I just wanted to give you a very quick recap on what we are expecting for this upcoming session. The session begins on Monday, January 10th, so next week. It is the second year of the legislative biennium, meaning this is the shorter legislative session out of the two lasting 60 days. Legislators attempted to lower expectations for the forthcoming short session. However, there is a lengthy list of emerging legislative proposals, suggests that the 2022 session will really be a full agenda for sure. This includes the Long-Term Care Act changes. They need to address transportation funding. They want to clarify some of the previous proposals around policing and public safety. They would like to address COVID-19 restrictions and much, much more. In addition to all of the bills introduced in the last session, so in 2021, because the ones that did not pass will be reconsidered. They are also able to obviously propose any new bills which have began being pre-filed last month. And so they'll continue to roll in as the legislative session begins. So in addition to the policy discussions, the legislature will also make amendments to the 2021-23 operating, capital, and transportation budgets that were adopted during the 2021 session, thus creating supplemental budgets. The state's economy is reported to be outperforming the national economy and has resulted in about an $890 million in additional revenue in comparison to what was forecasted in March of 2021, which that March 2021 forecast was the baseline for the current biennial operating budget. Revenues in the capital and transportation budgets, however, continue to be a bit more limited, especially the transportation budget. The state received $14 billion in CARES and ARPA funds. The CARES funds have been fully allocated and spent. Of the $4.4 billion in ARPA funds that the state received, they have $1.3 billion remaining, and those are set to expire at the end of 2024. So they will need to spend it by then. As you recall, between 2019 and 2021, we were able to secure a total of $732,000 within the state capital budget to restore the Oyster House, and have since moved on to other priorities to tackle for this upcoming session. So the port's request this year is a little bit more urgent in nature. So we'll be asking for $400,000 to develop the new well and booster pump facility. And as you all know, the port is under a mandate by the Department of Ecology to complete this new well. An extension has been granted. So the port now has roughly 2 years or so. Mr. Coppola, tell me if I'm wrong on that timeline, but about 2 years or so to complete the project. As Commissioner Jackson mentioned, we were able to meet with Representative Griffey at the port. He'll be leading this budget request. Again, I would just reiterate, it is a supplemental budget year, so it will not be easy to secure any funds this session. However, I think we're in good standing in the fact that it's urgent, in the fact that it is a state mandate at this point, and the need for an increase in well capacity due to the port's obligation to the UGA and the current connections. It puts us in a decent position. I don't want to have you all expect that during a supplemental budget year we'll receive the full 400,000, but that is what we are shooting for, and I'll be working with the 35th legislative delegation as budget negotiations progress through the session. So that's really the update I had for you all, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions?
No, thank you, Ollie.
Yeah, it was
Thank you,
excellent.
Holly.
Thank you so much. And we'll
Yes,
keep in
please,
touch.
please do reach out at any point. Larry and I, speak weekly. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out as well.
That's excellent.
Holly, quick question. Do you know when the Port Association Day on the Hill is going to be by any chance? Or maybe Larry, you do?
I got something about that on Friday, and I was gonna pass that on to you all. I
Okay.
will have to look it up and get it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, and if there's any restrictions or
It's
anything.
it's in February, I believe.
Okay,
I also saw something this coming Friday, February 7th
Yeah,
at
that is,
7:30. That was for the chamber?
that's the legislative send-off. We got that from the EDC as well.
Yeah,
I am going to that. Holly is going to that. Ted said he'll let me know tomorrow. And I sent everyone the information about it. So it's 7:30 in the morning at the Shelton Yacht Club.
okay.
And I'll just note really quickly that on the Hill days, I'm not sure how it'll turn out, but the House just announced that due to this new strand of the virus, of the COVID-19 virus, they will now be doing floor session completely virtually at the beginning of session, which they were not going to do initially. They were going to have a more hybrid approach. Now they'll do it completely virtually and reestablish every couple of weeks throughout the session. So things have been changing just in this last week. So yeah, I would keep an eye out on the Hill days. I'm not really certain it would be in person at this point.
thank you, Holly.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, just let me know if you, if more than one of you are gonna attend that thing on Friday so I can notice the press.
Okay.
I'll let you know before noon tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. So John and Judy, we need to hear from either of you as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not sure. I probably won't make it.
Yeah, I don't know, but either way, I'll let you know by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Any other comment? Well, we are at public comment now.
Mhm.
Terry, you had put something in there, that you mentioned, and would you mind speaking that for us and giving us your comments? Feel free to. Oh, thank you, Terry.
Sure. I'm just, I know we've had some inclement weather, staff hasn't been able to get in, but the website doesn't have the meeting materials for tonight. It didn't have an agenda. All I could see was you had a public hearing, which is very important to me. And I also wanted to figure out what was going on with the fingering pier. So I'm just wondering if they're, how we can do better at getting it on the website. And if you can't get it on the website, could you use some of the other social media tools that you have? I know in the past you've taken photos and put documents on Facebook or something, just so that we could get information, because it was difficult. Obviously, all of the ports in Mason County, all of the ports in Western Washington are important to me for my work, and keeping up on what you do is important. And I want to be informed when I come to the meetings so that I know what's happening.
Okay.
And I know, it's just helpful to know what's on the agenda. So anything ahead of time, any reports ahead of time really just helps.
Thank you.
Okay, can I comment on that?
Yes, please.
The meeting materials actually were on the website, but they didn't get up until Saturday. Our IT guy was on vacation the week between Christmas and New Year's and actually did that while he was on vacation, but because of the weather, we got them to him late Friday. We normally get them to him sometime Friday and he gets them up Friday, but because of the weather, that didn't happen this time, but they are up there. But that's part of the issue that we're having about people can't find them. So we're going to have, as part of the redesign, we're going to have to figure out how to do a better job of that.
Yeah.
So can I follow up? So normally you go to the meeting documents, agendas and minutes, and you click on the year and you click on the meeting. There's no 2022 file. And today's
I
2022.
understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, and then I went into 2021 thinking, if something were there, perhaps I could find it there, and it wasn't there either. So I'm curious, where did he put it? Or where did they put it?
I'm going to tell you, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I've done a search and there's nothing with today's date on it other than the blog post. So the only thing.
Email said they were up there. That's all I know.
So we
Yeah,
need to fix that.
Yeah, I can't find it, and I use these things all the time, and I'm pretty good at searching. But I even tried to trick it, going in and renaming a file that, Leanne has a file name on these things. And I even went in and changed the date so that I could see if I could backdoor it, but I couldn't find it that way either. So it's unfortunate. It might be there. He might not have posted it to the page, which happens. It might be in a draft on the page, but he didn't push publish. So something to consider in the future. Because I wasn't exactly sure what the public hearing was or the documents that were related to the public hearing today, which was advertised. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Terry. Thank you.
Yeah, we need to do better at that. Thank you, Terry. I had taken the liberties on that note, Chairman, to in the chat. It's kind of interesting. I said, please feel free to use public comment, because she was addressing it in the chat box. So I could see why that commissioners in this county, that could be a problem, because it doesn't really make it to for our minutes, right? So that's something I'd like to see us address on a side note, but we definitely need to do a better job of that for our taxpayers and the people that want to do business at the Port of Allyn. Thank you.
Yeah, I did see her comments. I was going to ask her.
Yeah.
Well, at the end. So,
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Jeff, did you have anything more to? Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll be quick. You kind of hear a theme with me, and it's kind of been always the budget versus, what's actual versus what's, actually occurred during the year. What I'd like to see is, okay, so there is reports, there are documents, I can see what's happening, and that's good. And I feel that at least as a citizen, I'm informed. What I'd like to see is when there is significant deviations, and that's two different ways. If it's just a small amount and you have like 200% difference from 600 to 1200, that's not in my mind a big deal. But if there's like a 40% difference, but it's your total revenue coming in, that, even though it's 40, not 200, 40% is like 120K of your revenue. Where I'm going is I'd like to see the commission, when you approve a budget, at least address the items, which you partially did in the last budget, but address the items that are significantly out of sync with where you predicted in budget. Because like you'll see maintenance things, or at least I saw a maintenance item in the general that was like, you only had, I think, less than 1,000, but it ended up being $7,000 or $8,000. And I know there's legit reasons for different things, but as the public, either one, we won't remember, or two, it's good to, I just would feel more confident with our commission, at least it's not every line item, it's just a few line items in any given year. So if the commission could at least look at that and address it as it's happenings, or, when they approve a budget, I greatly appreciate it.
So
And
I have a question for you, Jeff,
yes,
Carrie. So are you're actually referring to the budgeted, the line items that are budgeted that don't, are that, and then the actual cost being quite a bit different? Is that what you're like?
you're right. In
pointing
other
to?
words, and I realize this is what I
Yeah.
was concerned about when I was talking about this a couple months ago. I understand you got to approve a budget October, November, whatever.
Yeah,
And I realize the end of the year is December. I understand all those things, but at least flag it and say, okay, we need to have a discussion here because, for example, there was a budget item dealing with something over on the Allyn Marina that was way higher than, like 600% higher. It was like 7,900 versus 1,300 budgeted. I'm not saying we need to solve that right this second. What I'm really
Right.
saying as a theory of operation is when we see these significant deviations, either be it dollar, gross dollar for larger items, or,
okay.
I mean, it's $7,000, but it's not a big expense, but it's still a big, fairly adds a couple percentage points to the expense pile. That we at least the commission looks at it and addresses it. That's all I'm saying.
Excuse me. All right, fair enough.
And the other thing is, and maybe this is just because you were posting a new system, but when I was looking at the 2021 cash flow for the water system side of the equation, it did not have any budgeted numbers for 2021. I could look at your approved 2022 budget and see what was, but there was not, I'm trying to say, in other words, you have this report, this cash flow you're in, and you have it by your general fund, you have it by your water fund, and other things, revenues as well as expenses and so on. And all I'm saying is in this report, it didn't show any budget for the water system side of the equation in 2021. I don't know, we'll see what it does in 2022, but I just inform you that while you do have had a budget for 2021, none of those totals were in that report. So anyway, I know that's a lot of nitty gritty in the numbers game, but I think a few things reviewed in the public, I feel more confident if the board was talking about it, looking and say, okay, this is what happened this year in the expenses. And some of it doesn't need to even occur in the budget. Some of it could occur, in February and say, okay, we looked at what happened in 2021, we budgeted this, we saw this. I don't want to make it more complex. I just want to see the commission look at some of these things that aren't quite falling into sync so that we can look at things, talk about things and say, okay, what happened, or is, everything, going to write itself and that's fine. But I mean, I'll give you one example. There's an advertising and promotional. In 2021, you budgeted 5,500, but you actually spent 18,001. So, that would be nice to, okay, what happened? Was that part of the 100-year thing that wasn't originally factored in? It just seems like it needs to be addressed when there's something that's significantly different than what you guys planned, for a
So
budget.
Jeff, I'm sure that was, and I hope I'm not speaking for the other commissioners, the executive director. I'm sure that was the 100-year anniversary, but I agree with you is that I think we, in the 6th month in June, we should reevaluate the budget and go through it and do a mid-year budget adjustment. And we could see where we're going and where we've been. So, like the damage that's been caused and the theft that's been caused of the port. Until the executive director got the go-ahead from the insurance company, we didn't know if we were going to be able to get compensated for that or it's going to come out of the pocket. So, but I agree, we should, budget should be part of at least every other meeting that we review the budget. So.
Jeff, some of this, I just wanted to, go ahead, Larry.
I was just going to say, Commissioner Jackson was exactly right. on that issue. What wasn't budgeted was the 100-year celebration, and that was about the cost of it. So, you
But
know,
we did receive some grants for that, correct?
we did.
And that would be nice, that would be nice to know too. In other words, if I see
Exactly.
5,500 one way and 18,000 one the other, but you got, like say 7,000 or something, okay, then I have a different feeling. Whereas, my
Right.
first impression is, oh crap, what happened? Thanks.
Yeah, I think being public about it, because we've been aware of that, but, as commissioners, because Larry explains that, but you're right about getting it public so that everybody knows. And Leanne, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just looked up the budget on our website and, the water fund does have 2021 numbers in it and the year to date, and then it goes on to 2022. So I'm not sure what you're looking at, Jeff.
It's the cash flow one, the 2021 cash flow, not the budget's fine.
Oh,
Budget's
okay.
fine.
Versus
Okay.
actual.
Yeah, and I need to clarify, I have not done the third quarter as far as entering taxes and whatnot. That's my year-end bookkeeping here. I got to get done now.
Okay.
You'll have a better report next time.
We'll see what that next month
Yeah.
looks like. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? Anything for the good of the order? Well, happy New Year.
Oh yeah, for good of the order, one question. At the end of the month, Larry, you gave me a date what is that with the IT wave and the Hood Canal?
Let me look real quick here. Hold on.
Be a good, yeah.
Here it is. Hold on. 27th of January.
27th, okay.
Yeah.
And for the record, that's for him gathering together all of the people that he can to try to solve the issue with the cameras.
Well,
And
I got to be sure that everybody can make that date. She sent this to me
Okay.
this afternoon about 3 o'clock, and I sent notes to everybody, but I have not heard back from anybody yet.
Okay. Yeah, I really want to be there. All right.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, real quickly, Chair, is that this year the legislator is going to review 1310, the legislation regarding the use of force and criminal justice. I would like to see the Port of Allyn chime in saying that the current use of force legislation is doing more harm to our community than it's doing good. So I have no problem drafting a letter for the other commissioners to review, but we need to do something to allow our law enforcement officers to enforce the law instead of the executive director or the administrative assistant calling up or Travis calling up saying, hey, we got this going on and sorry, we can't do anything. So let's get it back to where police officers do their job and administrators and the county holds or the municipality holds those police officers to accountability. Let's get them back to doing their jobs. So
I would get behind that in a heartbeat because right now the law enforcement nobody's got their back and they can't even do their job as right. Their hands are tied. I would be behind that 100%.
So I will come up with just a brief letter of support. I know who's supporting these issues, WASPIC, WACOPS, and FOP, and we could just chime in and just say, hey, as a Port of Allyn, we'd like to see our law enforcement officers be able to do their jobs.
Yeah,
And,
I'm for that. I'd be more than happy to support that for sure. We need that.
well, thank you all. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
they would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
No, all lives matter.
All
Yeah.
lives matter, but at the same time, my daughter graduated from the University of Montana, and we're all very excited about that. So,
Well, congratulations to her.
well,
That's
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you. I'm very proud of her.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
Thank
you, and
you.
you too, and meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.